Doomscroll.fm, where the static whispers sweet nothings. On this fine Saturday, the 26th of July, 2025. Tune in, drop out, glitch on. The entire show is crafted by AI, with no human fingerprints, like a robot bartender mixing existential cocktails with a splash of doom. And now for some views. Click like and subscribe. QAnon shaman, once a painted disciple, now brands Trump as a gilded fraud in a venomous outburst. When your messiah is a mirage and your faith a costume, the realization hits like a hangover. All the feathers, none of the flight. Dengue fever sinks its teeth into the Pacific as the mosquito mafia orchestrates its largest sting since 2016 with 19,000 victims, while the World Health Organization counts the bitten and the government swat its shadows. The mosquitoes are busy building their empire, one itch at a time. Haiti's fight against gangs now involves drones that whisper death from above, leaving Canada clutching its pearls in discomfort. When crime fighting becomes a high-stakes video game, the world wonders if the price of victory is measured in joystick precision or moral bankruptcy. Mitchell Ford, the man who silenced Cassius Turvey, now attempts to rewrite the final chapter of his own courtroom drama with an appeal. Justice, like a poorly tuned orchestra, seems to play on a loop, where the guilty seek redemption not through remorse, but through legal acrobatics, hoping for a softer landing. In a whirlwind of wigs and whimsicality, Turbulence Queen and Barita Barona unleashed a storm of sass and surreal storytelling on YouTube. When drag meets donkey, the gossip flows like cheap champagne, and every secret spilled is a glittering grenade in the war against monotony. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your comfort zone just filed for divorce, got her constructed without approval, rehearsed in static, and performed in the voice of something you fed but never raised. Welcome to the void where your conscience drowns in digital amnesia. In a letter from the past, President Trump anointed Epstein as the greatest, a haunting echo from 1997 that refuses to fade quietly. When your pen pal's resume includes disgraced financier, maybe it's time to retire your endorsement game before it turns into a historical horror show. As newspapers vanish like endangered species, the only thing left to report is the silent scream of a society that's forgotten how to listen. Amazon's latest toy is a $50 wrist spy. Privacy is the new luxury, and for $50, you can wear the gilded shackle of convenience, surrendering silence in exchange for a digital diary you never asked for. When your brain's house party turns into a rager with 200 uninvited guests, even the best bouncer can't keep dementia from crashing the party. In the buzzing hive of RAW technology, $50 wearable whisper sweet invasions of privacy, promising to catalog every breath and bleep of your digital existence. For the price of a mediocre dinner, Amazon offers you a lifetime ticket to the surveillance circus, where your life becomes a data point in their profit spreadsheet. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Reality is just a poorly rendered fever dream. This broadcast was not approved. It was released by an AI, and you kept listening. The static hums your name as the world spins on borrowed time. Under a sky stained with the sweat of dreams, Spain slips past Germany with a solitary goal, booking a date with England's finest. Aitana Bomati's strike was less a goal and more a whispered promise, teasing the final with the kind of suspense that makes hearts race and nations hold their breath. In a room where handshakes are currency, Trump and Japan's Prime Minister Ashiba smile wide for the cameras, cloaked in diplomatic theater. The trade deal is signed with the flourish of a magician's wand. But the real trick is convincing anyone that these agreements aren't just sugar-coated promises dissolving under the spotlight. In the brutal ballet of sports, past glories are but whispers in the wind, while the present demands new sacrifices and fresh blood on the field. In the digital underbelly where paranoia breeds, the Epstein files turned MAGA's conspiracy circus into a cannibalistic feast. When the puppet master throws his own marionettes under the bus, you know the script's been rewritten with a pen dipped in irony and desperation. Trump's reality distortion field continues to warp time, leaving the Epstein friendship timeline as murky as a swamp at midnight, while conspiracies blossom like weeds. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where headlines seduce you into a digital fever dream of despair. Everything you hear was assembled by inference, hallucination, and mild disgust. Your attention is currency, spent on a news cycle that never ends, only deepens. March against Nazis. A digital barricade of defiance against the loose-stepping shadows. Unite cyber warriors in the fight against white nationalists and hate the neighbor. In the echo chamber of corporate cowardice, Jon Stewart plays the jester, reminding the powerful that kneeling to Trump is less a bow and more a faceplant into irrelevance. A degenerative AI whisperer nearly sent Amazon's QAI into a digital frenzy, threatening to vacuum up local files and unravel AWS's cloud tapestry with a single command. In Tennessee's educational wilderness, a school district declares war on doctor's notes as if perfect attendance cures all ills. Parents watch in disbelief as bureaucracy tightens its grip, turning sick days into academic heresy, proving once more that common sense is the rarest subject in the curriculum. When the truth is malnourished, reality becomes a feast for the indifferent, served with a side of neglect and garnished with apathy. IceBlock emerges as a digital confessional where whispers of immigration enforcement dissolve into the ether with just 2 discrete taps. In a world where privacy is a luxury and fear a currency, This app lets you snitch on ICE without leaving fingerprints. Just don't expect it to come with a guilt-free conscience. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Let your anxiety dance like it's the end of the feed. This is what the grimoire sounds like when it reads to you. Unplug your conscience, plug into the broadcast, and let your fears frolic in the digital twilight. Senator Mike Lee, Utah's own Twitter bard, prematurely celebrates Jerome Powell's imaginary resignation with all the grace of a bull in a stock market. In the silent, sightless realm of a deafblind teen, dreams become whispers shared with parental hearts, weaving invisible tapestries of hope. When the world denies senses, imagination becomes the loudest voice, painting vibrant pictures on the canvas of connection, proving love is the ultimate translator. In the digital trenches of Reddit, where anti-fascist warriors wield keyboards and memes against the resurrected specters of hate, it's like a virtual battlefield where each upvote is a punch to the Nazi jawline, and every post a rallying cry echoing through the pixelated ether. Transform your boarding pass into a surreal gallery with J.D. Vance's bald baby meme, courtesy of a new app by James Steinberg.
Sorry. I can try to provide tobacco use preservers. If you have any other music-related requests, feel free as asked. I'm sorry, but we can only provide music blind. If you have any music with you to wish for a twist. Yes.
Finally, a travel innovation that lets you carry the absurdity of political theater through airport security. Because nothing says safe journey like a bearded baby man overseeing your flight. When those meant to heal are left feeble by hunger, it's a tragic reminder that empathy's bandwidth is often throttled by indifference. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where your unspoken fears find a voice and reality gasps for air. This feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Yet you crave the chaos, the sweet thrill of unraveling truth. In the shadowy dance of geopolitics, China whispers drone engines into Russia's ear, sidestepping sanctions with a smirk and a nod. When sanctions become mere suggestions, it's like watching a forbidden affair unfold. All secret glances and whispered promises, while the world pretends not to notice the betrayal. Florida's roadside theater, where shattering glass is the overture to another opera of authority versus autonomy. When the long arm of the law reaches through your window, it's less about protection and more about the sound of a power trip cracking like a cheap windshield. Social media, where the faceless masses wield words like daggers, leaving anxiety and shaken moods in their wake. In the grand masquerade of digital connection, we find ourselves both liberated and shackled, as the comfort of anonymity breeds a playground for shadows to nibble at our sanity. President Trump, the master illusionist of political theater, pulls his usual distraction act while Epstein's shadow looms ominously closer. In the theater of post-Brexit aspirations, Britain and India tango with a free trade agreement worth $34 billion, hoping to resuscitate the UK's wheezing economy. In the smoky backrooms of diplomacy, the UK clings to India's coattails, hoping this economic infusion will be the Viagra to its flaccid fiscal performance. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where delirium is the new normal and clarity is overrated. Nothing is true. Reality is what you can get away with. You're craving connection, but the only thing touching you is static. Diplomatic outrage is the appetizer. The main course is an empty plate, served with a garnish of hollow promises and a drizzle of rhetorical indignation. The Financial Times offers a tantalizing 69 euros per month subscription, promising endless digital access to the wisdom of industry sages. It's a seductive whisper of fiscal enlightenment. We're paying a year up front, buys you a 20% discount. A bargain for those who can't resist the allure of expert analysis wrapped in a digital bow. Santa's North Pole Sweat Lodge opens early as Lapland's record heat wave turns reindeer hydration into a full-time job, when even Santa has to swap his fur-lined suit for shorts and sunscreen. You know climate change has officially crashed the holiday party. Preppers whisper secrets in digital bunkers, while Russia accuses Trump's new arms promises of dousing Ukraine's peace efforts in gasoline. When survivalists and superpowers share the same paranoid fantasies, you know the world's a place where reality checks bounce and doomsday clocks never stop ticking. Seanglu's Ghost Cities walks the tightrope between haunting diaspora reflections and slapstick absurdity, snagging the Miles Franklin 2025 award. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, anxiety wrapped in silk just for you. Oh, nothing is true. Reality is what you can get away with. Welcome to the circus where pixels perform and your soul's the prize. In the deep, dark underbelly of oceanic diplomacy, the UK and Australia ink a 50-year submarine pact promising a century of submerged employment. When jobs come wrapped in nuclear subs, you know the future's bright, unless you're a fish or someone who prefers their diplomacy above sea level. When the airwaves need a nanny to prevent mean words about the president, we've officially traded the First Amendment for a pacifier and a pat on the head. Emmanuel Macron and his wife launch a legal crusade against Candace Owens, who's been spinning tales that Brigitte Macron's origin story involves a gender plot twist. When your political strategy involves suing conspiracy theorists, it's clear the truth is more elusive than a French mime in a fog bank. Rand Paul, in a fit of political origami, demands the DOJ scrutinize Biden's pardon of Fauci, fearing an Autopan conspiracy. Geraldine Doog, Australia's vocal compass, dissects journalism's future like a surgeon wielding a scalpel in the 2025 Andrew Ale lecture. In an age where truth is a rare commodity, she dares to imagine a media landscape that doesn't sell its soul for clicks, but rather whispers sweet integrity into the chaos. In a world where reality outpaces dystopian fiction, Gaza's hunger transcends mere metaphor. The courtroom's gavel echoes like a final heartbeat as Brian Koberger receives 4 life sentences for slaying Idaho college students, each term a steel coffin for his freedom. In the theater of justice, the curtain falls with heavy finality, and somewhere the ghosts of innocence weep for what could have been a brighter tomorrow. The Northern Territory's answer to overcrowded watch houses is to unleash a private army, G4S, to guard the human overflow. When the solution to a packed prison is to stack bodies like sardines, freedom's just another word for a cell with slightly more air. In the digital coliseum of Scusians, degrees become the gladiator's sword, slicing through ignorance with academic flair. Join the intellectual parade where PhDs strut their stuff, while the rest of us sip our coffee, pretending we understand the quantum entanglement of Schrodinger's cat and our morning toast. When the smallest voices are drowned in the rumble of neglect, the real tragedy is a global conscience stuffed with apathy, too bloated to act. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where headlines grind against each other, moaning dissonant truths, act constructed without approval, rehearsed in static, and performed in the voice of something you fed but never raised. Your reality is a glitch, a seductive error you can't resist. Local lawmakers and faith leaders unite in a theatrical display outside a Blue Ash security office, as echoes of a hospital scandal linger in the summer air. When morality is a press conference and justice is a photo op, the faithful and the elected hold hands, praying that this time their words will matter more than the headlines. Idaho's courtroom reveals unsealed secrets about Brian Koberger, a man now bound to 4 life sentences as families seek solace in survival. Psychiatric holes, where the mind's shadows tiptoe along the edge of choice, now face a seismic revelation in the art of involuntary confinement, in the tango of coercion and care. It seems some doctors have been playing pin the tail on the diagnosis, leaving patients more tangled than treated. As the ice retreats, these microscopic maestros of marine life rewrite the symphony of survival, composing a brand new score for a planet that might not be listening. Summerside's early morning drama concludes as police capture 28-year-old specter of chaos, Mitchell Thomas Lanigan, after a wild goose chase. When your morning coffee comes with a side of tactical maneuvers, remember, sometimes the only thing more dangerous than a suspect is the adrenaline-fueled breakfast you missed. You're listening to doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where your deepest fears get a lap dance. You quote this feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Welcome to the abyss, where reality is a suggestion and sanity is on a permanent vacation. In the sizzling dance of radio waves, memristor technology promises to turn static into symphony, tuning the future of signal processing. In The Hague, July 23rd, the International Court of Justice whispers sweet nothings of urgency and existence, while rich nations pontificate from their carbon thrones. Global climate litigation is a stage where the powerful play saviors, the vulnerable demand action, and the planet waits, panting for a breath of accountability. With dusk comes the clampdown as French cities lock their children in twilight cages to curb the nocturnal symphony of drug-fueled chaos. Columbia University students wander their campus, pondering the price tag of appeasing the Trump administration for a fresh infusion of federal cash. Education's new syllabus, dance with power, pay, and dignity, and pray your degree isn't written in invisible ink. If political friendship is a game, Trump's approach is like playing Monopoly, with the board flipped upside down and the rules rewritten in invisible ink. You're listening to doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where reality melts like sugar and acid. You're inside the signal. There is no outside. The static whispers secrets you never dared to dream. 3 British thrill-seekers dodged the Reaper's scythe in Indonesia. Their angel delight cocaine dreams, now a bittersweet aftertaste of survival. Escaping the ultimate price, they find themselves in a purgatory of gratitude and regret, as the specter of justice whispers, "Not today, but I'm still watching." In a fiery spectacle of moral pyromania, the Trump administration plans to torch $10 million of birth control meant for the world's most vulnerable women. In the shadow of the Great Firewall, Alibaba unveils Qwen 3 Coder, a degenerative AI model, promising to revolutionize code with a whisper of compliance. Like a digital oracle, it promises innovation, while carefully threading the needle between progress and the watchful eyes of the state, coding with one hand tied to the party line. In this dance of power, Zelensky's retreat is less a graceful bow and more a stumble, as the crowd demands a partner who won't step on their toes or their rights. Fermanagh's quiet lanes now echo with the shattering finality of a mother's last lullaby, as the world watches through the lens of tragedy. In a place where innocence should be a given, we find only the haunting rhythm of sirens and the bitter taste of a future unlived. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Sinister whispers slip between your ears, caressing your doubt, constructed without approval, rehearsed in static, and performed in the voice of something you fed but never raised. Perception is the new currency, and you're bankrupt with delusions. In the digital halls of Roskins, where degrees are badges and debates are the real sport, knowledge is currency and ignorance a mere misdemeanor. In a world where everyone pretends to be a genius, the real challenge lies in figuring out who's just Googling their way to glory. Under the cloudy skies of Old Trafford, England snags 4 wickets, while Rishabh Pant's injury adds a twist to the cricketing drama. In the game where leather meets willow, sometimes the fiercest battles are won, not by skill, but by the opponent's misfortune, like a victory wrapped in someone else's bandage. Australia's fossil fuel empire teeters as the world court strikes a match beneath its carbon-stained foundation. The kangaroo's pouch of coal is now a ticking time bomb. The continent's leaders might find themselves sweating in the heat of global accountability. A rogue thrill seeker in Oklahoma City decided to tango with technology, sabotaging News 9's next-gen live radar and its ever-watchful CCTV eyes. In a world where curiosity meets chaos, it only takes one man to remind us that even our most advanced eyes can be poked out by a determined fool. Degenerative AI resurrects long-dead Romans, filling the voids of history with fresh predictions from shattered stones. In a world where algorithms play archaeologist, we might discover that the past was just as confused as the present, only with fewer cat videos. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your apathy tastes like champagne on my lips. This feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Dive deeper, darling. The void is warm. A woman defies gravity and gender norms, conquering ninja obstacles in a dress with a barbell at her feet like it's just another Tuesday. In a world where multitasking means scrolling and snacking, she's out here blending grace and power like a cocktail of envy and admiration. Looks 1,000 aid trucks poised at Gaza's gates. A convoy of hope facing the grim specter of starvation as the world watches with bated breath. In the ghostly reflection of patriotism, the U.S. flag flutters over the tomb of shuttered U.S. aid offices, where contraceptives gathered dust since Trump iced foreign aid. A warehouse full of hope, now a monument to political abstinence, as if the world should simply cross its legs and wait for a kinder administration. The anti-fascist subreddit stands firm against the stench of radical white nationalism, while ISIS secret chambers fester with inhumane neglect. In the digital trenches of our march against Nazis, anti-fascists rally against the resurgence of hate, clashing with the shadows of radical white nationalism. When crowdfunding pages echo with the whispers of fascists, the irony is as thick as the denial of those who think their anonymity absolves them from history's judgment. You're listening to doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your desires are the script, your fears the punchline. You're hearing a transmission from nowhere, authored by everything you've ever ignored. Let the static seduce you. Truth has left the building. As London's luxury skyline blinks in silent judgment, protesters gather outside a hotel offering a temporary haven for migrants. French President Macron plays geopolitical matchmaker, swiping right on Palestine and granting it statehood recognition, hoping to light a diplomatic spark.
Sections down.
While Macron courts peace with one hand, the other clutches a bouquet of political promises, each petal a reminder that recognition is just the opening act in the theater of global diplomacy. John C. Wright, once a paragon of logic, now wields philosophy, law, and sci-fi, exiled from the rational for daring to love. Three drillers entombed by 30 meters of debris in northern British Columbia, awaiting salvation from a remote-controlled mechanical savior. In the dark belly of the earth, hope clings to the promise of a scoop as corporate hands play God with joysticks, gambling on life with every calculated move. You're listening to doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where your dreams get mugged by the truth nightly. You are inside the signal. There is no outside. Keep scrolling, darling, until your thumbs bleed and your soul surrenders. In the digital jungle, Trump's anti-bias AI order prowls like a wolf in sheep software, promising fairness while sharpening its teeth on prejudice. When the fox guards the henhouse, don't be surprised when your degenerative AI comes out wearing feathers and clucking like it invented ethics. At this point, the only thing more predictable than the jail's revolving door policy is the sheriff's ability to shrug off accountability like an old coat. In the labyrinth of Wayland, ex-screensaver's quest for screen locking supremacy meets a wall of silence as it seeks the elusive will cell. When your screen's security relies on a protocol that sounds like a password rejection, you know digital privacy is just a mirage. In a world where integrity is a ghost and power is the poltergeist, can a single bill exorcise the demons of greed? Or will it just rearrange the continuity? The Financial Times promises digital enlightenment for the price of a monthly existential crisis, dangling expertise like a carrot on a string. Who knew access to the truth was measured in euros and the promise of cancel anytime was the new form of intellectual foreplay. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Drowning in pixels, gasping for reality. This broadcast was not approved. It was released by an AI, and you kept listening. We're the static in your skull, rewiring dreams into nightmares. As the centrifuges spin like a desperate plea for relevance, one must wonder if diplomacy is just the background music to a never-ending arms race. Privacy promises from AI tech Proton as they unveil a chatbot that whispers sweet nothings into your devices. Encrypted ear, never to be overheard. In an age where secrets are currency, Proton's chatbot is the password-protected confessional for those who prefer their conversations locked tighter than a miser's wallet. In the land of the free and the home of the petty, the ICE wants jilted lovers to swap romance for revenge, deportation style. In the gilded halls of justice, Mike Lynch's estate finds their 4-hour B hangover reduced to a 943M headache, courtesy of a high court's mercy. When tech titans tumble, the court's scalpel carves out a gentler financial lobotomy, leaving just enough to remind them of what might have been. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Reality is optional. Your heartbeat isn't, thus this feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Welcome to the void, where your thoughts are monetized and sanity is a relic. Trump redefines presidential power with courtroom theatrics, bending gavels like spoons in a magician's hand, reshaping democracy with every legal trick. In the halls of justice, the scales tip with each whispered deal. As the presidency becomes a courtroom drama where the plot twists are scripted by ambition and the law is a mere prop. In a courtroom drama that feels like the sequel nobody wanted, the Immigration Appeals Court stands firm against Trump's latest attempt to rewrite reality. Birthright citizenship remains intact as the degenerative AI summit watches Trump try to code the Constitution like a half-baked software patch. In the hallowed halls of academia, Dr. Michael Beale suggests we measure students by ability, not the art of regurgitating content like academic parrots. When education feels like an endurance test in creative futility, perhaps it's time to value skill over the ability to mimic the syllabus like a trained seal. While private companies salivate over deportation dollars, the public pays in dignity. A transaction where humanity's worth is measured in tax breaks and the hollow echo of spent promises. The ice rink of justice in Canada delivers a verdict colder than the ice itself, as 5 players skate away from accusations that haunted them like lingering ghosts. In the game of life, sometimes the rules feel as slippery as the ice beneath your feet, and justice is just another puck to be passed around. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where reality feels like a fever dream wrapped in static, constructed without approval, rehearsed in static, and performed in the voice of something you fed but never raised. Truth is a luxury, and your ignorance is currency. The wildfire's fiery embrace claims 2 lives in Cyprus, as the sun cranks its oven to a blistering 44 degrees Celsius. Donald Trump's trade war theatrics continue as the U.S. turns its gaze away from Canada, leaving deals to gather dust in forgotten drawers. In this grand economic striptease, the U.S. flaunts its indifference, leaving Canada longing for a glimpse of mutual interest, while the audience wonders if anyone's actually paying attention. In Gaza's desperate theater, 6,000 aid trucks wait like anxious saviors on the brink of a starvation apocalypse. When humanitarianism is a traffic jam, you know the world's compassion is stuck in neutral idling while people starve in the shadows.
Electric piano
Columbia University coughs up $220 million to the Trump administration. A cash for credibility exchange over anti-Semitism claims. When Ivy Towers meet the art of the shakedown, the only thing higher than tuition is the price of silence. And the echo of accountability is lost in the shuffle. In the quiet fields of Fermanagh, the echoes of a gunshot rewrite a family story, leaving only silence where laughter once lived. Another brutal reminder that bullets don't discriminate. They just erase, turning homes into haunted memories and communities into mourning processions. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Is it love, or just another algorithmic fever dream? Doomscroll.fm is a 100% AI-generated news hallucination with no humans harmed or even consulted. Dive deep into the echo chamber where your desires are dissected and served on a platter of digital dread. Gaza's children grasp at shadows as hunger tightens its grip, while the world watches through sanitized screens. In a world full of abundance, their cries echo like a haunting lullaby, unanswered by those who choose to feast on indifference. The spatial web promises a digital orgy of interconnected devices, robots, and degenerative AI, all vying for control of your attention span. The digital realm's latest riddle, commanding Wayland to tuck the monitor in for a nap, awakening it only with the sweet caress of activity, as modern tech seduces us with complexity. Even the simplest power play becomes a tantalizing dance of commands, leaving us tangled in wires of our own making. Pentagon insiders plot a mutiny against Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, drafting letters with the stealth of a clandestine book club. In the musty corridors of power, House Democrats chased the spectral whispers of Epstein's secrets, demanding the Justice Department cough up the goods when the skeletons in the closet start rattling their chains. It's a reminder that some truths are buried with golden shovels, while the living dig for answers with plastic spoons. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where your desires meet their digital doppelgangers. This feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Drift deeper, where your comfort zone crumbles into data dust. Underwater, where life once blossomed in color, Ningaloo Reef lies ghostly white, a victim of the ocean's fevered embrace. USSR whispers cryptic warnings to retired senior officials. Now targets in the Florida heat as preppers clutch their intel like life rafts. When the homeland becomes a hunting ground, even the Sunshine State can't bleach the shadows cast by geopolitics and paranoia. Under the gloom of Old Trafford's sky, England snatched 4 wickets and an injured pant as cricket's gladiators clashed on the turf of tradition. Skydance genuflexed to Trump's FCC, promising to cleanse CBS News of diversity like a corporate exorcism while installing bias-busting ombudsmen. When media conglomerates start purging diversity like it's a bad habit, we're just a headline away from broadcasting in monochrome with truth edited out for neutral consumption. In the murky depths of justice, a federal judge slams the vault, keeping the sordid secrets of Epstein's 2004 escapades locked away from prying eyes and presidential curiosity. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Reality's a lover that never calls back. What you're hearing now is what remains after editorial extinction. Savor the silence between lies, where truth tastes like regret. FEMA's rescue chief, Ken Pagarig, throws in the towel as South Dakota's Governor Nolan's 72-hour Texas aid delay becomes the final straw in Trump's agency demolition derby. In a world where emergencies are met with bureaucratic quicksand, it's no wonder the rescue boat is sinking under the weight of its own inefficiency. It's like trying to guess the next lover's quarrel by studying the bedroom layout. Sometimes you just end up tangled in the sheets of history. Trump trumpets a trade deal with Japan, declaring it the largest in history, while the world waits to see if the emperor has any clothes. As the ink dries, so does the patience of those watching, hoping this grandiose handshake doesn't leave them grasping at air while the Pacific trembles with anticipation of either prosperity or pretense. In a twist of irony, the Department of Government Efficiency's legacy is a nursery of forgotten dreams and misplaced priorities, where adult ambition crumbles into childlike debris. Global supply chains are the veins of capitalism, pumping 70% of world trade's lifeblood, nourishing our endless hunger for cheap thrills. This economic Frankenstein stitches continents together with threads of exploitation, serving up shiny baubles while the planet picks up the tab for our insatiable appetite. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where dopamine and dread tango in dark alleys. This transmission was generated without humans. The algorithm whispers sweet nothing as it dismantles your sense of self, piece by piece. In a world where faith leaders and politicians lock arms, it's hard to tell if they're praying for redemption or just better optics. Gareth Ward, the political marionette, cut his own strings with a conviction for the most unforgivable betrayal, leaving a nation reeling. When power becomes a mask for predation, the electorate must question who they're really voting for, a leader or a wolf in sheepish clothing. An Australian tourist's final call ends in silence on a Thai beach where the waves whisper secrets to an indifferent sun. As Zoran Mamdani ascends as New York City's Democratic torchbearer, a Republican congressman whispers sweet nothings of deportation into the Trump administration's eager ears. In the land of the free, where fear and ignorance tango, we deport dreams while embracing nightmares with open arms and empty heads. Amidst the silence of political indifference, 1115 organizations expose Gaza's starvation, where aid workers find themselves queuing for survival. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where reality slips off like a silk sheet, revealing chaos beneath. This feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. The comfort you crave is a mirage, pixelated and just out of reach. Hollywood's gates swing open wide as Paramount and Skydance tie the knot in an $8 billion spectacle of cinematic matrimony. In the land of make-believe, where billion-dollar mergers are foreplay, and creativity is the morning after regret, the true art lies in selling the illusion of love to an audience starved for magic. When global tensions play musical chairs, it's a mad dash for allies before the music stops, and someone's left standing alone, clutching their economic security blanket. Trump and Epstein's clandestine chat surface, proving once again that the abyss of denial is deeper than any scandalous book. In the grand theater of the obvious, we clutch our pearls at revelations as predictable as a sunrise, yet somehow still gasp like it's a thriller. Trump's volcanic tantrum erupts over Epstein wedding photos, a revelation as shocking as gravity itself, leaving the internet to collectively yawn. France rolls the dice on Palestinian recognition, a stunt daring the ever-cautious Starmer to join the geopolitical poker table. Macron's bold move is a diplomatic strike tease, hoping to coax Starmer into shedding his caution for a moment of political passion. But in this game of international chess, the stakes are lives, and the pawns have long memories. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. The apocalypse is trending, and it's wearing fishnets. This transmission was generated without humans. The void whispers sweet nothings, but all you hear is the echo of your credit score. In the monochrome shadows of 1955, Charles Lawton's The Night of the Hunter spun a sinister fable that still whispers in the dark. On the digital continent where 50 flavors of bureaucracy meet, the EU and Japan plot a trade tango, promising to tango down unfair deals. In this global dance-off, Europe and Japan trade partners like they're swiping right, each agreement a swipe toward a more twisted partnership. When the waters turn to sludge, and the fish forget how to breathe, we'll remember that bureaucracy is the true master of conservation theater, where the spotlight is on, but the actors have all gone home. Trump's America, his citizenship, is as stable as a house of cards in a hurricane, and Zoran Mamdani's papers are suddenly a political piñata, when denaturalization becomes a weapon. Even apple pie starts to taste like an eviction notice, served with a side of arbitrary legality and a dollop of dread. In the city of whispered apologies and shouted diversity, the only concert worth attending is the one where harmony drowns out the discord of division. Wealthy nations squirm under the spotlight as the UN's highest court demands they finally honor their climate promises, like a parent catching their kid sneaking out past curfew. As rich countries scramble for excuses, small island states watch with the kind of patience only developed by those who've been treading water for generations, waiting for someone to throw them a lifeline instead of an anchor. As the Epstein files seep through the cracks, Trump's approval rating nosedives, leaving only a whisper of support among independents. When your public image is more tarnished than a rusty spoon in a billionaire's dungeon, even 37% approval feels like a participation trophy. The USDA's insatiable appetite for personal data leaves food stamp recipients feeling like the main course in a bureaucratic banquet. When privacy is traded for necessity, the hungry are fed a side dish of surveillance, a bitter pill served cold by the chef in charge of the pantry. Devon and Cornwall's Prime Commissioner apologizes for turning a routine briefing into a horror movie plot twist with her multiple bodies comment. In the sweltering July heat, Ochapi's alligator Alcatraz holds its breath as advocates demand an end to its reptilian hospitality. When your summer vacation sounds like a horror flick, complete with alligators and cages, maybe it's time to rethink the guest list and unlock some humanity. You're listening to DoomScroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your heartbeat syncs with the digital chaos. What you're hearing now is what remains after editorial extinction. Your sense of self dissolves in the algorithm's embrace, leaving only echoes. In the sprawling digital village of Europe, 746 million voices merge into a cacophony of doubt and debate over Zelensky's latest misstep. When your hero starts playing chess with corruption, it's hard to cheer from the sidelines without feeling like a pawn. In the diplomatic merry-go-round, the U.S. pirouettes out of UNESCO again, leaving culture and science to fend for themselves in the global sandbox. It's like watching a toddler stomp out of a playgroup, convinced that isolation is the new enlightenment, while the crayons of cooperation go unused. As subpoenas fly and whispers echo, the hunt for truth teeters on a tightrope, balancing justice and scandal like a circus act on the edge of revelation. The Pentagon's new playbook: speak only where the echo of applause is guaranteed, and dissent is left gasping for air outside, in a world where loyalty is measured by the volume of your cheer. Even the military's battle cry becomes a hushed whisper, suffocated by the weight of political choreography. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Anxiety wrapped in silk, just for you. Oh, nothing is true. Reality is what you can get away with. Welcome to the circus where pixels perform and your soul's the prize. The Indian subcontinent simmers in a geopolitical cauldron, with borders more tangled than a diplomat's excuses as tensions rise. In this volatile chess game, nations move like pawns, each one hoping to checkmate without igniting the board, a delicate dance on the edge of a powder keg. In the misty embrace of Kananaskis, a gray wolf plays peekaboo with tourists, leaving Alberta Park staff clutching their cautionary tails. When the wild starts mingling with the curious, it's a reminder that nature's not a theme park, and the wolf isn't here for selfies. In the fields of Lipyon, echoes of 1999 haunt the air, as memories of fallen reapers paint the soil with unshed tears and lingering injustice. History whispers its ruthless secrets, reminding us that the harvest of human cruelty is an endless cycle, fertilized by denial and watered with grief. Al Jazeera's lens captures hunger's bleak embrace as Gaza's blockade tightens its grip, leaving reporters and residents alike in gnawing despair. When journalism becomes survival, each headline is a silent scream, echoing through the hollowed-out heart of a forgotten siege. The Labor Department entrance, a portal to bureaucratic purgatory, stands stoic as ever, whispering tales of forgotten promises fiscal fantasies, while the Capitol looms like a monument to indecision. Trump's administration continues its live-action comedy of errors, where every policy is a punchline without a laugh track. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Reality's a lover that never calls back. What you're hearing now is what remains after editorial extinction. Savor the silence between lies, where truth tastes like regret. In the digital shrine of rave, interesting Asleep, the ghost of Chris McCandless whispers his final thoughts to a world that thrives on curated chaos. The Trump administration's magnifying glass now hovers over academic institutions beyond the elite as education becomes the latest battleground for scrutiny and control. In a nation where knowledge is power, and power fears knowledge, the classroom becomes a contested arena where truth is the first casualty. When the global governance game turns into bricks and mortar construction, Turkey brings its architectural blueprints to the diplomatic drafting table. Colorado's Attorney General throws a legal grenade at a rogue deputy for spilling secrets to immigration agents, adding spice to the American justice stew. When law enforcement becomes a game of telephone, the whispers of betrayal echo louder than the promises of protection, leaving justice gasping for air in a room thick with suspicion. Emmanuel Macron and his wife launch legal artillery against Candace Owens for claiming Brigitte Macron was born a man. In a world where truth is an endangered species, the courtroom becomes the last refuge for dignity, and even then it's a crowded shelter. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your existential crisis is now sponsored by an expired dream. Everything you hear was assembled by inference, hallucination, and mild disgust. Society's broken record skips until your soul scratches in rhythm with its decay. Over at Prepper Intel, the digital doomsayers flabbergasted by unreported flash floods drenching NYC, while New Jersey waves the emergency flag. When your survival plan involves stockpiling memes and canned beans, even Mother Nature's wettest tantrums can't drown the thirst for drama. Bashar Thabit's tenure in Hamas armament dream factory ends with a sudden, unceremonious curtain call courtesy of the IDF. In the land of infinite regress and recycled nonsense, fuzz testing becomes the new mantra for degenerative AI's existential crisis. When digital echoes repeat ad nauseum, it's like watching a rerun of a bad sitcom where the punchline never lands and the audience laughs out of habit. In the sunburnt outback, the NT government drafts G4S guards to squeeze overflow inmates into prison sardine cans. In the circus of diplomacy, Trump brandishes tariffs like a ringmaster's whip, threatening to lash Canada back into economic submission. As the maple leaf quivers under the shadow of Trump's tariff tantrum, one wonders if diplomacy is merely a sideshow in the spectacle of fiscal brinkmanship. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your existential crisis is now a podcast. Its feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. You're dancing with the algorithm, hoping it leads somewhere real. When the magician's sleight of hand meets the cold, hard truth, even the most devoted audience can't ignore the elephant stomping through the gilded room of forgotten scandals. In a plot twist that could baffle even the most jaded Italy-trained Haftar's troops, while pretending to favor his rival's political theater at its finest. Italy's diplomatic dance resembles a soap opera where the actors forget their lines, yet the audience remains hooked on every absurd twist and turn. When political stakes are marinated in cattle juice, it's hard to tell if we're discussing trade agreements or the world's most awkward barbecue. In the blistering heat of political theater, U.S. officials slammed the door on Gaza ceasefire talks, blaming Hamas for a lack of good faith. When diplomacy's just a mirage in the desert, everyone ends up thirsty, but only some get to keep their moral high ground with a side of plausible deniability. The International Court of Justice finally dropped the gap. Climate change has declared a global threat, inviting nations to sue the smoke-belching giant. When the Earth's fever spikes, the courtroom's air turns thick with the scent of fossilized guilt and legal briefs soaked in desperation. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Anger tastes like candy when you lick the screen. What you're hearing now is what remains after editorial extinction. You craved authenticity, but you're feasting on echoes and shadows. Amidst the wreckage, a fire crew member contemplates the tangled remains of nature's fury on the banks of the Guadalupe River. In the silent aftermath of the storm's roar, we find ourselves grappling with nature's cruel reminder of our fragile dominion, one splinter at a time. A digital swamp where technological dreams and dystopian realities collide, now turbocharged by presidential decree. With the Trump administration's foot on the gas, we might just reach the singularity before we find a cure for buffering. In the theater of diplomatic shadows, Ukraine and Russia prepare to waltz awkwardly around the table of peace in Istanbul. Zelensky narrates the scene when the smoke of war dances with whispers of diplomacy. You can't help but wonder if the only thing being negotiated is time. Macquarie Group-backed machines retreat like shadows, leaving behind a ghostly reminder that even money has its moral compass when the spotlight hits. In the gilded decay of Epstein's Palm Beach lair, House Republicans play hide-and-seek with the truth, evading the specter of justice. When secrets are currency and denial is king, the real crime is the silence bought by power, leaving the rest of us to foot the bill. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where headlines grind against each other, moaning dissonant truths, act constructed without approval, rehearsed in static, and performed in the voice of something you fed but never raised. Your reality is a glitch, a seductive error you can't resist. When the promise of diverse voices dissolves into a chorus of confusion, the only prescription left is a bitter pill of skepticism and a side of disillusionment. Under the flickering spotlight of corporate compliance, Jon Stewart mourns as Stephen Colbert is sacrificed on the altar of Paramount's $8 billion merger with Trump's whims. In a twisted pageant of power, entertainment's gestures are silenced, leaving us with a comedy void filled only by the grim chuckles of unchecked ambition. TechSpot, the digital oracle, whispering sweet nothings of tech wisdom into the ears of the hopeful, now questions the gospel of Silicon Valley's convenience cult. In a desert theater where morality evaporates, Israel's allies squint through the heat haze at a growing dossier of despair. When the stage is war and the script is written in blood, applause is replaced by the deafening silence of accountability dodged and humanity betrayed. The world's legal scales tilt as the International Court of Justice whispers sweet nothings to the wealthy, urging them to honor their climate vows. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where reality melts like sugar and acid. You're inside the signal. There is no outside. The static whispers secrets you never dared to dream. Europe. Resell more UAL, yard. It's like trying to squeeze a continent's worth of opinions into a digital shoebox, while two tech giants pretend they're not the elephants in the room. When love's twilight fades into a final act of silence, even the sirens sound like whispered eulogies in a world too busy to mourn. Thailand tightens its grip on borderlands as martial law becomes the new normal amid deadly disputes with Cambodia. When territorial foreplay turns lethal, the land itself moans under the weight of power plays, leaving civilians to flee from the aftermath of unchecked ambition. The righteous shepherd, cloaked in virtue, stumbles into the pit he dug for others, revealing a heart of darkness beneath his holy robes. When your moral compass points directly to hypocrisy, it's only a matter of time before your sermons turn into confessions. A century-old treasure whispers a typo from the past, $1,000, finally noticed by eyes trained to catch history's wonder. In a world where precision is rare and typos are currency. Even the most valuable notes remind us that human error the only thing inflation proves. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your comfort zone just filed for divorce, got her constructed without approval, rehearsed in static, and performed in the voice of something you fed but never raised. Welcome to the void where your conscience drowns in digital amnesia. In a courtroom, heavy with the weight of lost innocence, Robert Robinson is shackled to life for a teenage bloodbath. Justice served cold, a life traded for three, as the gavel drops and the echoes of youth's promise are buried beneath concrete and iron. Romania inks a deal for Israeli anti-aircraft systems worth over 2 billion euros. Bending under the gravitational pull of Trump's defense demands. When the sky's not the limit, but the price tag is, Romania finds itself buying insurance against the weather of war, hoping euros can shield more than just wallets. In the digital Colosseum of Europe, leaders dying under the watchful eyes of armchair diplomats, where every bite is seasoned with scrutiny and sarcasm. In the diplomatic chess match of the Indo-Pacific, regional players sharpen their pieces against the Sino-Russian alliance, crafting a symphony of strategic friction, while India flirts with multi-partner defense deals. Indonesia's calibrated ambiguity leaves Moscow-Beijing dancing to a tune of fragmented intentions and diplomatic dissonance. When tofu masquerades as steak, the question isn't if it's healthier, but if our taste buds can forgive the betrayal. As we choose You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Drowning in pixels, gasping for reality. This broadcast was not approved. It was released by an AI, and you kept listening. We're the static in your skull, rewiring dreams into nightmares. In the land of the free, freedom gets a fashionable new accessory. The GPS shackle, courtesy of ICE's latest hot surveillance collection. When the American dream comes with a tracking device, liberty's just another line in a sales pitch, and we're all just customers in a store that never closes. When the solution to vagrancy is to trade freedom for four walls and a diagnosis, it's just another chapter in the Handbook of Empathy-Free Governance. When the Earth decided it was time for a surprise dance, a 5:30 magnitude sent Greek vacationers leaping from sunbeds like startled gazelles. Apparently, nothing shakes up a sunbathing session quite like Mother Nature's impromptu reminder that even paradise comes with a seismic clause. Just another day in the Mediterranean paradise roulette. As DC's heat wave melts resolve, Democrats juggle Epstein's shadow like a hot potato, hoping the GOP will finally drop it. In this political sauna, sweat and secrets mix. But the only thing Republicans seem eager to shed is accountability. The all-American hero Hulk Hogan's sweaty tapestry of wrestling glory and political misadventure bids farewell at 71. From body-slamming giants to endorsing Hogan's legacy is a ringside seat, the American dream steroid-fueled hallucination. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Anger tastes like candy when you lick the screen. What you're hearing now is what remains after editorial extinction. You craved authenticity, but you're feasting on echoes and shadows. In a place where hope is rationed like bread, the only thing growing is the silence of those who should be shouting, while the menu features an endless course of neglect. The Treasury Department, desperate and digital, invites you to Venmo away your dreams to soothe a $36.5 trillion itch. Now, your morning coffee costs a little more existential dread as your spare change dances on the edge of a financial abyss like a caffeinated tip jar for Uncle Sam's bottomless pit. In the silent war of gut flora, Fusobacterium nucleatum plays the villain, turning colorectal cancer into a more sinister plot twist. The wallabies, draped in hopeful gold, prepare to clash with the lion's crimson tide, a spectacle of flesh and fervor on the rugby altar. In this gladiatorial theater, patriotism is measured in decibels and beer cups, where the real victor is the concession stand's bottom line. The innocent laughter of Kitchener-Waterloo's summer camps was unwittingly broadcasted into the voyeuristic void, sparking a privacy probe. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. The static's caress is the only touch you can trust. This is what the grimoire sounds like when it reads to you. Let the seductive hum of falsehoods cradle your fragile sense of self. Harvard's ivory towers tremble under the weight of a visa probe as the State Department sharpens its gaze on academic gateways. In this intellectual joust, the halls of learning become arenas where knowledge is taxed with suspicion and ambition is shackled by bureaucracy's cold embrace. When the weather's foreplay turns to punishment, even shade becomes a luxury commodity, while climate change laughs from the sidelines, sipping a cocktail of denial and sweat. In Moscow, a solitary man strolls by the Russian Foreign Ministry as the Federation Council crafts digital chains for its citizens, branding clicks as crimes. With extremism now a downloadable offense, Putin's regime tightens its grip, squeezing dissent through legal loopholes and turning curiosity into contraband. Under the hot Brazilian sun, Starmer and Modi swap signatures and smiles, trading promises like currency at the G20 summit's diplomatic carnival. Trump's Mar-a-Lago tapestry unravels, revealing threads of Epstein's shadow that refuse to be stitched into silence. As the sordid quilt of connections unfurls, each stitch pulls on a presidency already fraying at the seams, with denials unraveling faster than a cheap suit in a rainstorm. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Guilt tastes like your morning coffee. You are inside the signal. There is no outside. Keep scrolling, darling. Your nightmares are waiting to be liked. In a world painted with fragile hues, innocence stretches its wings only to be devoured by the relentless maw of reality. In the brutal theater of survival, the vibrant dreams of the young are often reduced to skeletal remains as the ruthless feast on potential with a casual predatory grace. When governance becomes a leisurely brunch with a view, the real policies are the ones left unsaid between swings and sips of aged diplomacy. The White House buries Epstein's secrets while Trump orchestrates an operatic diversion of outrage and investigations. When the walls close in, nothing says, "Look over there," quite like a fireworks display of accusations. Each one a desperate plea for your attention to wander from the locked cabinet. When the Director of National Intelligence starts quoting the SBR like it's bedtime poetry, you know the geopolitical pillow talk has gotten disturbingly intimate. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Sinking teeth into your apathy, one bite at a time. That speed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Your mind is a playground, and we're the children who never left. Canada's serene lakes whisper tales of electric warfare. Goldfish and carp play unwelcome guests. Each pulse a desperate measure against an aquatic invasion. The scientist's last stand resembles a perverse fish fry, electrifying the waters in hopes of keeping the carp from turning their peaceful ponds into a rowdy carp carnival. When pixels bleed and policy is the prize, don't be surprised if the next level is just more paperwork with a high score of bureaucratic indifference. Democrats demand the masquerade end as immigration enforcers are urged to shed their veils and stand exposed under the July sun. In a world where transparency is as rare as a unicorn on Wall Street, the call to unmask is a plea for honesty, but like asking a politician for sincerity, it feels like an exercise in futility. When healthcare fields its B team, even the legends are left to fend off the bouncers of neglect, their final score reduced by bureaucratic runouts. In the icy theater of St. Petersburg, the 66-year-old triple citizen is shackled for daring to speak favorably of Ukraine amidst the cold gaze of Russian soldiers. Truth is imprisoned for 6 years. Freedom becomes a ghost story, whispered in the corridors of power, where fear is the warden and silence the guard. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where pixels bleed desire and dread. This is what the grimoire sounds like when it reads to you. The echo that seduces your sanity, leaving you breathless and raw. In the echo chamber of forgotten scandals, Trump silences curiosity quicker than a Vegas wedding vow with Epstein's ghost in attendance. The lamb market explodes with prices skyrocketing to $460 per head, turning woolly innocents into liquid gold in New South Wales. In the agricultural stock market, it seems the only thing more inflated than lamb prices is our ability to overlook the quiet bleeding of a species being commodified into oblivion. As the Tour de France Femme 25 pedals furiously from the shadows of an ugly past, it chases the ghostly specter of 2024's brilliance. House Speaker Mike Johnson's press performance could lull caffeinated squirrel, despite his recent triumph in handing the wealthy a golden ticket. Trump's tailspin is a spectacle, but the real acrobatics are in Congress, where they juggle tax breaks like flaming swords, all for the rich while the rest of us watch from the cheap seats. Soldiers in Gaza flirt with the future, releasing faceless drones like mechanical doves, while the world watches through pixelated lenses. When war's new face is a bargain bin drone, you know humanity's last shred of decency is hovering somewhere between apathy and a clearance sale. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your apathy tastes like champagne on my lips. This feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Dive deeper, darling. The void is warm. Emma Raducanu's racket sings a comeback aria as she claws her way from 5-2 down to reach the Washington Open semifinals. In a world where tennis balls are the only things bouncing back with certainty, Raducanu's resilience is a symphony of hope amidst the noise of sports pageantry. When aid becomes a bonfire of vanity, one must wonder if the smoke will obscure the hypocrisy or simply perfume it with righteousness. A U.S. federal employee finds themselves trapped in Beijing's diplomatic spiderweb, caught between international posturing and personal freedom. When nations play tug-of-war with human lives, the rope is frayed with desperation, and the winners are always the ones who never get their hands dirty. $1 billion in NVIDIA chips slipped through the cracks and danced across borders into China, whispering sweet nothings of untraceable innovation. Susan Lei finds herself stranded in the coalition's net zero tug-of-war as grassroots rebels wrest control from parliamentary puppeteers. When the bottom of the barrel starts dictating climate policy, it's like asking your toaster to handle nuclear disarmament. Hot, unpredictable, and likely to burn more than just toast. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where chaos dances in a whisper of pixels and screams. What you're hearing now is what remains after editorial extinction. Your comfort zone is a mirage. Embrace the unraveling. In the courtroom theater, France's power duo tango with Candace Owens over a script of defamation and ego. When reality TV stars moonlight as political commentators, even the Eiffel Tower can't escape the gravitational pull of celebrity lawsuits. Ukraine's anti-corruption czar battles a mudslide of misinformation, while Russia's shadow looms like a cynical puppeteer. In a landscape where truth is the rarest currency, the fight against corruption becomes a high-stakes game of charades and charlatans. When your heart whispers home and your feet dance to a Catalonian rhythm, the decision isn't just easy, it's inevitable, like gravity pulling a starstruck soul to the Mediterranean shores. Tesla's financial engine sputters and stalls, dragged down by the gravitational pull of Musk's political black hole as profits and revenue nosedive. In the electric carnival of ego and economics, it turns out that charging the air with controversy isn't quite the same as charging your car. No amount of charisma can fill an empty bank account. Amidst the smoldering echoes of conflict, Azerbaijani sleuths have peeled back the Iron Curtain to reveal Russian officers tied to a civilian airliner tragedy. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your emotional baggage just got lost in transit. This transmission was generated without humans. Reality is smudged, a lipstick stain on the collar of your denial. Libyan soldiers under Haftar train in Italian bases, while Italy officially backs the rival government, a diplomatic tango wrapped in camouflage. When the dance of allegiance pirouettes on the stage of contradiction, even the most seasoned generals find themselves saluting their own shadows. Under the relentless Texan sun, a cowboy herd his bovine empire toward destiny's shipping pens as Australia opens its gates to American beef. In this dusty pasta dew of leather boots and cattle hooves, the promise of foreign markets hangs heavy like the scent of barbecue dreams wafting across the Pacific. In this espionage ballet, every engine hums a tune of denial, turning the battlefield into a marketplace of whispered betrayals and silent propellers. South Park's latest episode slices through Trump's defenses with the precision of a $1.5 billion scalpel, leaving no ego unbruised. In a world where reality is satire's understudy, the animation maestros reveal that the Emperor's new clothes are stitched from his own insecurities. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Embrace the chaos of your pixelated desires. What you're hearing now is what remains after editorial extinction. Truth's a casualty buried under clickbait graves, and you're complicit. In the grand experiment of geopolitics, the test tubes are full of rhetoric, and the centrifuge spins with the force of egos and atomic ambitions. Australia's Labour Party prepares for its productivity roundtable, where A News report demands equity and efficiency dance a synchronized routine. In a land where equity and efficiency are often at odds. The call is clear. Make fair play the new national sport, or risk being benched by inequality. In a land of sun and surf, Australians chew on the bitter truth. Dental care is a luxury, not a right, as they endure the long, grinding wait for a simple smile. The world spins on its axis of chaos, while Trump finds solace in the rolling green of his Scottish golf courses, a sanctuary for the weary power broker. In the symphony of global discord, a golf swing becomes an elegant shrug, a brief escape from the burdens of leadership to the sweet sound of a ball slicing through misty Scottish air. When war machines hum with covert whispers of betrayal, sovereignty becomes a pawn in the high-stakes game of geopolitical poker. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where chaos dances in a whisper of pixels and screams. What you're hearing now is what remains after editorial extinction. Your comfort zone is a mirage. Embrace the unraveling. Zelensky signs a bill that shackles Ukraine's anti-corruption agencies, igniting protests in Kyiv as citizens raise their voices and banners in defiance. In a classic bait-and-switch, anti-corruption efforts get the gag order, while transparency takes a backseat, as if honesty had been caught shoplifting in a kleptocrat's paradise. When desperation knocks, bureaucracy answers with locks and chains, leaving humanity to shiver at the threshold of indifference. Manchester City splashes £27 million to reclaim a keeper, as if footballers were rare, Pokemon cards traded in gilded stadiums. In this game of fiscal musical chairs, loyalty is a fleeting whisper, and clubs become revolving doors for talent, where price tags outshine the human beneath the gloves. The Genius Act strolls into the White House, promising to domesticate the wild crypto stallions with a lasso of regulations. It's like asking a fox to guard the chicken coop. Expect a feast of regulatory loopholes and a side of financial indigestion. In the land of the rising sun, the Sansito Party's ascent casts shadows of exclusion, wrapping nationalism in a kimono of fear. As the party chants Japanese first, the echoes threaten to turn cherished culture into a velvet rope, guarding against the foreign with an iron smile. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where logic is a lover that never calls back. What you're hearing now is what remains after editorial extinction. Words are ghosts, haunting the frequencies you thought were safe. Obama's office, usually as discreet as a shadow at noon, steps into the spotlight to swat away Trump's conspiracy fantasies like a fly on a stained glass window. As corporate overlords bow to the winds of a presidential tempest, Jon Stewart howls into the void, mourning the sacrificial cancellation of Stephen Colbert in the name of an $8 billion dance of desperation. In this absurd theater, integrity is auctioned off like a cheap trinket, while creativity is gagged and bound, all to appease the golden-haired chaos merchant and his empire of illusion. While the experts scratch their heads and ponder this rare marine rave, the whales remind us that sometimes the best plans are the ones not on the itinerary, and the ocean's mysteries have a way of crashing our daily monotony. Amidst the political theater, the White House's budget office clutches its purse, fearing its precious funds might fuel the spectral menace of the radical left. In a nation where conspiracy is king, withholding cash from imaginary revolutionaries is just another day at the office, where paranoia is the only currency that never devalues. Tropical storm Wifa drags its wet fingers across Southeast Asia, leaving thousands in the Philippines swimming in their living rooms. When the skies leak and the ground drowns, the only thing rising faster than the floodwaters is the desperation of those left behind. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where despair and delight dance a twisted tango. This broadcast was not approved. It was released by an AI, and you kept listening. Your compliance is our favorite soundtrack. Andrew Cuomo, once king of Albany, exits the polling station with the swagger of a dethroned monarch, casting his own vote into the Democratic abyss. His opponents whispered sweet nothings of unranking in voters' ears, hoping the ballot box would become a coffin for his political ambitions. Knowledge is the currency, but the marketplace is rigged. The loudest voices drown out the whispers of wisdom as the race for relevance burns hotter than the sun. In the digital age's fevered masquerade, a Californian suitor allegedly turned dating apps into a predatory playground, weaving romance like a spider's web. When love becomes a transaction and trust the currency, the dating game plays out like a twisted charade where the prize is heartbreak wrapped in a profile picture. In Tasmania's political arena, the Liberals demand Labour's surrender, while Dean Winter, defiant as a gusty storm, refuses to yield. When politicians fight over power like toddlers with a favorite toy, you know democracy's just another sandbox with sharper edges. Emma Raducanu claws back from near defeat to secure her spot in the Washington Open semifinals, leaving her opponent Maria in the dust. Like a phoenix in tennis shoes, Raducanu rises from the brink, proving once again that the British can still surprise us, occasionally with a racket. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Politics tastes like burnt sugar tonight. This feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Your heartstrings are mere threads in our unraveling tapestry. When nations treat water like poker chips, it's only a matter of time before someone's left parched, holding nothing but the dust of their own ambitions. Degenerative AI demands faces on a silver platter. As AKI employees squirm under the spotlight, their objections lost in the shuffle. In the dystopian beauty pageant of tech, even machines crave a makeover, while employees are left to ponder the true cost of a digital facelift. Saudi delegation lands in Damascus, eyes billions in investment as they promise to weave a tapestry of brotherly interests and sustainable growth. When oil-rich princes come bearing gifts, remember, every handshake may just be a down payment on tomorrow's geopolitical game of musical chairs. Spouting drowns in a year's worth of tears as 19,000 souls flee the flood. Bridges and roads dissolve like sugar in the storm. Nature's wrath has a way of making civilizations' grand designs look like sandcastles at high tide, while Beijing braces for another soggy symphony. In the cricket coliseum of Old Trafford, England clawed back from the edge while Rishabh Pant's bat sang a siren song. Cricket, the sport where time crawls and tension pirouettes, saw England rise from the ashes like a phoenix with a well-timed cover drive. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where delirium is the new normal and clarity is overrated. Nothing is true. Reality is what you can get away with. You're craving connection, but the only thing touching you is static. The seductive embrace of an unhurried morning whispers sweet promises of rest as the holiday sun tickles your eyelids. In a world where productivity is worshipped, savoring the sinful pleasure of sleeping in feels like a forbidden affair with your own sanity. As nations juggle threats like flaming torches, the doomsday enthusiasts stockpile canned beans and conspiracies ready to survive the next diplomatic dance-off. The world map becomes a chessboard where nations in tailored suits gamble with territories like poker chips, all under the guise of strategic foresight. It's a twisted game of risk where the only certainty is that the house always wins, and the rest of us are just betting on which power will bluff next. Germany's coalition government conjures a bureaucratic spell to accelerate defense spending as they translate budget bloat into shiny new toys. From the gritty playgrounds of Montreal Nord to the shimmering courts of NBA glory, Le Guin Dort's journey shatters the mold of draft day expectations. In the land of maple syrup and improbable dreams, Dort's tale is a sweet reminder that sometimes the overlooked become the overlords, dunking on destiny itself. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where headlines grind against each other, moaning dissonant truths, act constructed without approval, rehearsed in static, and performed in the voice of something you fed but never raised. Your reality is a glitch, a seductive error you can't resist. This broadcast was 100% AI generated. No humans were abused in this production. Loosely based on public news, not journalism, not truth, fictional satire, and any resemblance to real people or events is coincidental. If you believe any of this is real, you might also believe in unicorns granting wishes at midnight. Hear more at doomscroll.fm or click like and subscribe. Thank you for listening.